Hi there, Suzanne Wigginton here, reporting once again from the injury phase of my sensitive cycle. I'm in a bit of a burnout mode, and I've been sharing with you guys for the last month or so. So there's several videos that preceded this one, and you can certainly go through the timeline and find them if you'd like, or you can check them out on my YouTube channel. So I'm here today with 5 things that I want to share or report with you. As a sensitive explorer who has found myself in a bit of more than just compromise, really, as I said, very burned out and in an injury phase of what I have dubbed my sensitive cycle. So the first thing I wanted to say to you today is get off of social media, right? Like, I personally am committed to a Facebook group that I facilitate for my essential oil customers, and I'm going to continue to be there and show up to that because it's important to me. But outside of that, I'm mostly taking a social media fast, right? It might be temporary, it might be permanent, but what I do know is that if I do come back to a regular pattern of interacting on social media again, it will be differently than before. And I'm not going to go into any specifics on my truth around that, but as a sensitive explorer, I cannot stress to you enough the importance of disconnecting from social media for some amount of time so that you can truly grasp its effect on your daily life, on your productivity, on your emotional landscape, and on your central nervous system, which I promise you is important as a sensitive person. So that brings me to number 2 today that I want to share with you about, which is just that you need white space or blank space in your life to listen for deeper truths. So personally, I have been feeling broken and describing myself as feeling broken, but with a little bit of time and space, I've found that in truth, I'm walking through a layer of very deep and old grief. And part of me has become inconsolable. And she is who I honor right now. And she is who I am organizing for, or who I'm choosing to stop organizing for. And I would ask you, what is something that you know or think that you know that awaits your deepening into another layer of understanding? These tiny shifts or nuances in your awareness can open huge doors. So that brings me to number 3 that I want to share with you today, which is that I've made mistakes in my recovery process. And I've often mentioned in my videos in the past that these things can be tricky. So here's an example of that. During the last several weeks during my burnout, I said yes to something big. And it was really positive in a lot of ways. It stretched me. It was successful in a lot of ways. But it came at a big price. And it set me back in some regards, but it also helped to drive the point home for me, the true depth of what I am navigating right now. So in that regard, also a win. And the truth is that something is dying in me, right? A way of being, a way of doing things, a way of organizing my time and my business and my relationships. And I need to allow for that death process in me to complete. Otherwise, I'm just picking up and moving forward with something putrid and half dead but not yet transformed. And so I'm slowing way down externally, which is how I can slow way down internally and be at peace with the dying and the grieving parts. Right? So that brings me to number 4, which is that there'll be no more sharing and reporting on this for right now. I've done a good bit of sharing and reporting on this injury phase of my burnout reality, and as I said, you can find all of those recordings, and I've heard from many people about the usefulness of that sharing, and I'm really glad for that. But this sharing piece has come to an end for now. And, also as I shared at the start, I'm on a social media fast, so it doesn't make any sense for me to be on social media sharing, does it? So I am going to be compiling all of the recent videos and organizing them into one big blog entry that will be housed on my website. So from that standpoint, there still will be a place that this sharing will live on that can help others. And that is enough, and that is plenty. And so that leads me to my last thing, number 5, which is that I have no regrets about any of this, right? I answered the call to share, I showed up, and I shared. That call is complete. So it's not a success, nor is it a failure, right? It's simply finished. And I hope that as a sensitive explorer that you can adopt this way of not qualifying things within the polarity of good or bad, or success or failure, right or wrong, and instead embrace a sense of in process versus complete, or aligned versus unaligned, right? These distinctions will serve you well. So on that note, I am signing off for now, reporting on my burnout from my injury phase in the sensitive trenches. Happy to say that I do feel I've turned a corner, but honest enough to admit that I've got a ways to go with this phase. So wherever this recording finds you today, wishing you well. And if you are a sensitive explorer, please find ways to take care of you that work for you. My best. Bye.